Crafting with Miss Kendell. My name is Miss Kendell and I work at the Wayne County Public Library Children's Department. And today we are going to be making a very comfy craft. We are going to be making our very own pillow, but there's no sewing involved, so that's good. The supplies that you will need for today's no-sew pillow is, of course, some Fleece. I just have purple and this really cool zebra pattern, but you can use any color that you want. You're going to need some scissors, some chalk, a ruler, and I'm using cotton balls today for the filling inside the pillow. Ideally, you'll want to use something called polyfill, which is actually a stuffing you can put inside the pillow and then you can wash your pillow. But I don't have that today, so instead I'm using cotton balls. You'll also need an adult with you in case if you need some help. So the first thing we're going to do is cut our fleece. And you can do pretty much any shape that you want. The easiest shape that works for me with this craft is a square. So I've already gone ahead and cut a 12-inch by 12-inch roughly little rectangular square here. I'm going to use that for my template on my other piece of fleece here. So I'm going to lay that down on top of that. Again, mine is 12 by 12 inches, and I'm going to take the chalk and I'm going to draw the outline here. It doesn't have to be perfect, just roughly. Using the chalk on this helps to make a very gentle mark that actually wipes away for me to be able to see where to cut. And it's a lot better than using like a marker or a pen or pencil because it doesn't stain the fleece. So chalk is the best way to go. All right, now that I've cut my little square, just like that, I'm going to lay the two squares on top of each other. And it's okay if they're not perfect. Flip this over. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is on each of the four corners, right here, here, and down there, I'm going to cut a little square out of each corner that is about an inch by inch length. So right here, right across. And you're probably wondering, why are we cutting a square out of each of the corners? Well, this is going to help when we tie it all together. It's going to help keep it in that nice square pattern that we want, without it looking too weird or tying in a weird way. And I only measured the first square an inch by inch size, and then I'm using that as like a template for the other corners. Kind of like how we used our first purple square as a template for our other zebra square. All right, once you get the four corners cut out, again, an inch by inch size, we're going to make our little tassels here. And the tassels, I'm cutting down to this line. I'm doing it about a centimeter in thickness and then down to that little line so it lines up with those little four corners. And you're just going to keep cutting all of the tassels. And you can make the tassels as thick or as thin as you want. I just like doing them a centimeter width because it makes them more like frilly looking. Okay, here we go. And then we're going to do the same thing on all of the sides. Again, going in about an inch so it lines up with the four corners here. This part and tying all the tassels takes probably the longest. So be patient, take your time. This is definitely a craft that you don't have to rush with. Take as long as you need. There we go. So we're just going to keep cutting the tassels until we get all of the sides done. We've got one last side to go. And if you need an adult to help you with this part, that's perfectly okay. Sometimes cutting through the fleece can be really difficult because of its texture. It's not like paper, definitely not. But once you get all of the tassels done, we can now start tying. So you're going to take the purple side, or whatever colors that you're using. I'm taking the purple side and then the tassel from the bottom side. I'm going to tie a perfect little knot, just like that. And you're basically going to keep tying your tassels all the way around. This part definitely can be tricky because as you start to tie, you're going to notice that the pillow is going to start puckering a little bit. That's perfectly okay. It just means that everything's getting nice and tight all together. Oops. It's definitely a very tricky craft. Very tricky, but that's okay. So we're just going to keep on tying, and this part's going to take a little while, and that's perfectly fine. You can also, while you're doing this part, have one person doing this side and another person doing the other side. That way it can go a little bit quicker and more hands can be working on the project here. There we go. So we're just going to keep on tying here. Looks like we got to the corner. And we're just going to tie that then. I'm going to start working on this side now. And if you're tying and you notice some of the tassels aren't long enough, you can always go in with your scissors and make them a little bit longer and just like do a little snip inside. And then that'll help with the tying process, since it does take a little longer to do it, and then it can get a little bit more difficult when the tassels, some of them are a little short. Go. And notice how it's starting to pucker a little bit. That's perfectly fine. This means everything's getting nice and tight and secure. You don't have to make your pillow 12 by 12 inches. You can make it as big or as small as you want. You can make it big enough for you to use, or you can make it small for, say, like a doll or an American Girl doll even to use. So it's part of like doll accessories. So you can always do that. Whoops. What I've done right here is I've actually ran into a tassel that's a little short. So, like I said, we're going to make a little snip so that it's a little bit longer, and that's going to help us tie that. There we go. Sometimes that'll happen, and that's perfectly normal. Almost done with this side, and then we'll do the third side, and then we'll get to stuffing it, which is really, really fun. Go, a couple more to go on this side. Go. Alrighty, we'll start on this side now. This craft definitely takes some patience because it takes a little bit longer. I know that in the past I've done some quick crafts. This is one that takes a little while, but the end product is really, really fun and cute, but it does take a little while. So this is perfect for if you have a really snowy day and you can't really go outside to play yet because it's really, really yucky out. This is something that you can do to help pass the time. And then when you're all done, you can cuddle up with it, or you can use it with your toys. like for a doll or whatever. Go. Alrighty, we're almost there. A couple more tassels to go. And as you go along, it definitely starts to curl up a little bit more, so it does get a little bit tricky towards the end here. It's all right, just take your time, be patient. You can go as quick or as slow as you need to so that everything lines up. This is a craft you can do at your own pace, so that's perfectly fine. We're almost done. Let's get that last tassel there. Okay, so now that I've got all these 3 sides done, we have the last side to do, but because we want to keep an opening, I left it undone. So it should look something like that, kind of like a little mitten. And now we get to fill it. So I'm going to take the cotton balls here, and I'm just going to start putting them inside our little pillowcase here. And you want to make sure you get whatever you're using to fill it, whether it's cotton balls or polyfill, down to the bottom there. Go. And you can fill it up as little or as much as you want. I'm going to make mine really, really fluffy here. I'm going to use a lot of this here. Let's see if I tie it. It looks something like that. So that's pretty thick in and of itself. It's a good finger length and thickness here. So I think I'm going to tie the rest of the tassels. And again, you can make your pillow as thick or as tiny as you want. I'm just going to finish tying up all of our tassels here. There we go. Once as it gets to this point, it is a little bit tricky to keep track of your tassels, and that's perfectly fine. Just do the best you can with lining up all the tassels, which ones go with which side here. Doesn't have to be perfect because this is your pillow. It can look however you want it to. There we go. Almost done. Got 2 more little tassels. Go. There's 1 and 2. Alrighty. So once you get everything tied, you're going to want to give your pillow a little fluff. Kind of move it around so all of the polyfill or cotton balls that you're using to fill it up kind of work their way around until it's nice and fluffed. And then that is how you make your very own little no-sew pillow. And again, you can make it as big or as little as you want in whatever colors that you want. But that is how you make today's craft. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time.